First pickup of Viego for Sunni.
And I think you answer here with Ore is the Thresh. I think you take Thresh, maybe look towards something like a Jinx in this bottom lane. Get yourself, again, that late game scaler from the bottom side of the map, because you know this is going to be a slow game. There's no reason to like panic and look for these mid-game fights. Just take the series at its own pace. Looks like it could be the Gwen potential here for Cube in the top side, but I really think Thresh is going to be a big pick here, especially for Hung.
You feel like it has to be, right? Like it's made it through the bans yet again. It looks so good for Hung last game, and it's still available. You give that over to Sunni, it completely changes things. Nope, they go for the Leona.
Okay. I'm really surprised. I assume we're going to get the Thresh. Like, it's such a flexible pick. It does well against pretty much all of the meta picks at the moment. It does mean now, though, for Sunni, like, I'd actually take the Thresh myself. Great pick against Leona. You can stop a lot of the early engages, and you can go towards one of these more immobile carries because Thresh facilitates it. Varus is covered at the moment. Huanfeng's most played this split has been the Jinx, which I think could do pretty well here as well. And you manage to keep range against things like the Gwen, but I mean, the poke Varus does kind of a similar job, just that long range damage that Sunni can play around.
Yeah, to an extent, right? And like you can still, I think Varus is so strong right now. It will be that lock-in for Sunni, and now with a lot of support still on the table, but also a lot of just individual laners still on the table that are viable, that are very strong right now. You gotta wonder what this last pick is going to be for RA, because they've already gotten support, they've already gotten one of their solo laners. Do they just go for this bot lane matchup?
So I'm curious if RA now like try to go towards an Ezreal and then maybe take a Jason towards the top lane and actually like put this Gwen into the jungle, because there's the opportunity here to try and go, hey look, you don't have engage as Sunni. Viego doesn't really hit the mark, Braum doesn't either, so instead just try to fight at range. But it looks like they might be trying to fight a little bit more fire and a little bit early game as the Kalista gets locked in.
They want the early game spice that they had on the Aphelios last game. That's not typically what you want to say, but the Kalista this time is going to be that ruthless bot lane with the Leona. Very heavy pressure down there for Sunni to go up against on this Varus Braum. I think it's a integral matchup to this second game.
So I think what RA are going to be looking to do now is ban away things that do well against the Sylas and see if maybe they can take a Sylas here for a FoFo. Kennen taken off the board, so I mean, actually maybe, yeah, just being, hey look, we just want to make sure you're not going towards the Kennen or the Jace, but I think both teams are going to be eyeing up things like this Sylas in the mid lane, maybe another Akali, Orianna, another big pick for FoFo in that mid lane that Sunni just ban away there. Yep. So I think definitely a lot of mid lane is going to be the attention that's getting given right now.
It's just so hard to pick, like we said earlier, and they're tired. They're trying to, right? Like it's so hard to ban away these mid lane champions because both these players play so much, right? And we obviously labeled Angel as more so a bigger champion pool, but FoFo in his own right has a lot of champions played there. So very, very variable things that we can see out of the mid lane. We still want to see the priority though. I feel like we set that up at the beginning, but that priority mid lane is kind of what allowed at least SofM to try and look for those ganks early in mid lane. Next time around, maybe those executions come through.
Here we go though. I mean, Sunni, you got to look at your last mid lane ban here. I mean, Akali potential, we talked about the Sylas potential as well, especially with the Blanc taken off the board. So it is going to be the Sylas call here from Sunni, just saying we don't want any more of that. And now you're going, right, what do you want to take here? Lee Sin potential for FoFo as well in the mid lane because you've got that AP top laner, maybe even a Lucian for FoFo. But the Akali is open once more.
Could be the choice here. Has a pick of the litter here for himself as well. Really a lot of things available, but very good performance in game number one. It was the iBoy show, but FoFo was looking mighty fine on the Akali himself. So it's going to be the pickup for game number two.
And I think, again, I want to see SofM on something early here, right? Because you're already seeing a hell of a lot of these, like, strong, aggressive picks in the early stages. So I think the Lee Sin would fit perfectly. I actually like the Angel hover of the Twisted Fate as well. I think when you've got compositions that want to play very aggressive, like this Kalista on the bottom side, Cube trying to take advantage of this matchup against Bane in the top lane, something that can facilitate that and shut down those plays is going to be wonderful. The only thing is you do have the counter pick potentially, or well, FoFo at least could potentially take that Akali, but you could also flex that Akali to the top side. You put Gwen into the jungle, and then you still get a counter pick for FoFo. So you still have to be cognizant on Sunni's side of potential like movements here with the champions.
So they go for for the TF. I saw the Galio hover, and you know, traditionally you can have a decent laning phase, I feel like, against the Akali as the Galio, and you still have the answer with the semi-global, but they go for the TF, a little bit more damage focus, a little bit more influence towards SofM to help him early on, and that's what I wanted to see in game number 1, and this time they're finally able to pick towards their win condition.
Yeah, I think the big difference between like the Twisted Fate and the Galio is like Twisted Fate is more self-sufficient, right? Because he's able to destiny himself in, whereas with Galio, you need someone else there. But I think in this situation, the Twisted Fate works perfectly, right? FoFo not going to be able to do a huge amount. We've seen, like, when you get Everfrost and those gold cards, it makes it really difficult for this Akali to operate in team fights. You've got the opportunity to play towards Bane in the top side of the map and an early aggressive jungler for SofM to pair that with. It feels like Sunni now have that plan that we're trying to highlight at the start of the day that gives them the opportunity to fight back against RA in these early stages.
We do see the Trundle making himself shown again in this day. We had it in first series, did not look great, but in second series, we'll see if that changes. It's a very different approach to this game, but some similar pieces for both sides. We got more of the primary win condition that we wanted for the side of Suning. And for RA, you still have a lot of strength in the lanes, but you're also still setting up for Leyan to get those advantages.
I think this is potentially a bit of a harder game for Rare Adam.
Yeah.
Because when we look towards like the early stages, it's like, cool, like Varus is going to do pretty well into the bottom side of the map. And you're looking at your top lane as well. Like, yes, you have this Gwen that can do reasonably well against the Viego, but you're under a lot of pressure from this Twisted Fate. So I think you're going to be kind of struggling a bit as RA to find that same lane dominance that we saw in the last game, especially when Angel hits that level 6 and has the opportunity to start to roam around the map.
Roaming is key as we are getting loaded onto the Rift. Game number 2, a potential final game of the evening if RA can pull it out. But as you said before, Dagda, the composition for Sunni is looking set. The blue side buff is in power, and we see SofM on the Lee Sin, his most played of the split by far, needing to execute here against RA. Well, here we are, Summoner's Rift loaded up. RA versus Suning, game number 2.
And RA have already got one game in the bag. Sunni are the ones that need to force this to a game number 3. And it feels like with this comp, they've got the tools to do it. Their composition is great at absorbing a lot of that pressure that we see coming through from RA with like the go forward that RA are going to try to enact. They have the opportunity to play these early lanes better. Huanfeng as well in that bottom lane with On can just kind of shut down iBoy this time around, not let him get to kind of the terror that he was in the last game. But it does come down towards, look, can Leyan have this early game impact? Can he shut down SofM? And can RA try and bypass Sunni and their global comp?
And I just gotta ask Dagda before we get into the business of this game. Oh. Just tell me, man, where's Trundle go? What does Trundle do? Because the last 2 times we saw it, it just did not have the proactivity that we typically want to see. Talk about proactive, though. You don't get a chance to answer me in my own question because Hung goes in for the level 1. But I'm going to go back to it because there's time to talk.
Yeah, I think it's about trying to cause a bit of disruption for Huanfeng in these fights. Like, the early game against SofM, not the greatest. Like, especially if you end up in a 2v2 against, like, FoFo and Leyan, the CC and the burst damage that SofM and Angel offer is really difficult to deal with. But in a team fight, Huanfeng is actually going this on-hit Varus. He's not going this poke Varus, so he needs to be in the fight, dealing consistent damage. Trundle pillars, slows, really set up for FoFo, for iBoy, for potential CC from Hung, even Cube as well getting involved. So this is where Leyan is going to be looking to try and make things a nightmare for Huanfeng with the slows and the extra little bit of control and terrain altering abilities that this Trundle has.
And I just want to point out here, you know, we are in the middle of this best of 3 series. I want to relabel out the stakes for both these teams, right? Like, they're both right in the thick of things of these playoffs. The standings do matter. The seedings do matter. And one win does so much here, Dagda, for either of these teams. It's actually crazy.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get this... Oh, hang on.
Oh, did they just go for this? Are they really? Hung? I don't know if that's the play. You go for the early aggression, you get duped.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, especially against the Braum with exhaust, you've got the cleanse on Huanfeng, he's able to walk away. Like, I don't know what they expected. Like, Braum is so good in those dive scenarios. I don't know why they didn't wait for Leyan.
Yeah, I honestly am questioning the same thing. That Leyan was on the way down, but he's just a poor little Trundle. He just has to run his way there. Is back down towards the spot lane here. We'll see the replay there.
Yeah, I mean, you're still level 2. You cannot tank a lot of these terror shots. I mean, literally 2 shots and you're dead. Hong doesn't even flash out of the terror range, and they don't even get close to killing him.
Wait,
but now,
this was the play all along, though, Dagda. They were looking for the bait, and Huanfeng will go down eventually. Maybe Leyan getting kited here. The flash comes out. Huanfeng with the outplay, but he gets taken out by iBoy in the end.
he's just too clean. Huanfeng, now 2-1, is managed to pick up so many advantages on the bottom side through just mistakes from RA. Not able to finish off the Varus, and the flash away from Huanfeng is perfect to pick up the kill.
That is insane. We get the carousel turn in bot lane early on, 2-1 advantage for Suiting. We're gonna get yet another replay bot lane.
I don't know. Like, Huanfeng is so close to dying. The stun from On is so clutch here because it buys the space for the end. You can even see Trundle loses vision in the bush, so it means that you can't get the double auto quickly with the auto attack reset on the Q, and the Trundle goes down. So well played by Huanfeng. And again, on hit Varus, this guy scales really well.
Yeah, he does, and they're already keeping the pressure up on bot. They've also got SofM here, the TP as well. This is the kind of play we wanted to see from Suiting, and they're able to execute. Huanfeng gets one. Can they get more? FoFo very, very low here. You've still got so many members strong from Suiting. They aren't going to find any more. They take a couple extra tower shots, but still, the execution is there from Suiting.
FoFo not able to get into picture. Unfortunately, not able to finish off SofM. Burns the flash on that play as well. And now, this is Suiting turning this series around. Turret plates going to Huanfeng. 3 kills for this Varus already. He's 600 gold up.
How does this keep happening? How did, like, Dagda, what is going on for the blue side of these teams? Like, this is insane to see happening for both these teams, but on opposite sides. And now iBoy just gets half his health chunked out.
Yeah, and you get to walk nicely over to the dragon now as Suiting. Please don't take that.
Okay. That was a little close, a little too close for comfort. SofM right there to punish just in case, but they're going to continue to press this up. And Leyan kind of smelling what's going on, but not soon enough as he just goes down to Huanfeng, giving a fourth.
Huanfeng's massive. Like, we had iBoy in the last game. This is the Huanfeng show now. Apparently, both sides were like, no, neither team relies on the AD carry. And then they were like, we're going to rely on the AD carry.
Oh, iBoy, I love those words. Just being thrown right back at him. But it is his own part, too. Like, game number 1 was all iBoy. But I just right now, I mean, we've bought into the craziness here. Dagda Suiting up 4-1. But it's still early. It's 7 minutes in. RA still do have chances here. You still have a lot of pick potential and a lot of damage potential from RA, but you cannot let this continue to bleed out like this. You've got to find those proactive plays.
Yeah, and we're joking about bot lane versus bot lane, but realistically right now, this game now is a Huanfeng versus FoFo game. Because if FoFo is able to get access towards Huanfeng, burst him out, it doesn't matter how fed you are, he's just going to be dead. Now, the good news for Suiting fans is you have a ton of peel options on Suiting's side. Chains of Corruption straight off the bat, Braum there beside him, and again, we already said Angel in these fights is going to be so crucial to containing FoFo, Everfrost, Gold cards, stopping this Akali from being able to move in and get that shroud down. So I think for Suiting's side, having this big lead on towards Huanfeng and even going towards the Immortal Shield Bow in Huanfeng would mean that he's more than capable of surviving a lot of what RA want to throw at him.
SofM right on time for the Chicky Nuggies. Had the timer ready to go. He's going to be able to get some invade off here. Leyan is right around the corner, though, but FoFo's pushed under tower, so no real aid coming Leyan's way, and that's just going to be a Raptor camp given over. Now FoFo's here. FoFo's able to get out of the mid lane, but SofM has already taken the camp. Now we do have Rift Herald spawning right now, but as well as a dragon still on the board. No big objective focus in this second game, thus far at least.
I mean, if you're just going to get kills and turret plates, do you really need other objectives?
Honestly,
Hong going
though.
very far forward. Okay, he's just going to kind of bluff his way into that, but like both junglers are already on this bottom side, and I wouldn't be surprised to see SofM like starting up this dragon soon, just because he knows he's got such a strong control over the bottom side. Rift Herald up as well. Neither team really has a big advantage topside, although Bin doing quite well in this match may mean that they're able to try and set this up for Suning, but I think you just play towards your strengths to Suning, play towards this bottom side, and keep Angel there to make sure it's all nicely tied up in a bow.
Don't want to have any outside influences really affect Huanfeng, at least down here on this this Varus. You want to make sure he's nice and tidy. Protect the president, round number 2, but with different colors this time around. And SofM is on the top side of the map, already looking at their first objective. We'll see if Leyan can get the response on the other side, as I believe they will realize is happening now as the ward gets taken down. And SofM with that early objective, but RA looking for the kill response here. Fate's Call comes out, misses, but the Solar Flare doesn't. You've got a lot of Ren stacks in on, and he's just gonna go down. Hung gets the kill, and now maybe Leyan gets taken. No, nice little piercing arrow, but Huanfeng can't follow it up. Rift Herald may go down, but RA is able to find something bot.
Yeah, Subjugate is just too strong in that situation, not able to take down the Trundle alongside it, but it does mean RA at least get a kill back in their favor. They're getting this dragon now, and they're getting a bit of control at least back. I mean, trading up in this scenario is definitely a big win for RA.
Is indeed. It's not exactly what you'd want, but it's you'll take it. You'll take it. But we do want to see even more coming out from them, right? Like I've liked the response thus far, but you still have a 2,000 gold lead at 10 minutes for Suning, and that's something you never want to be going up against with the likes of SofM, with the likes of Huanfeng, with these two big potential carries from them. And now with the Rift Herald available, you have to look at the next steps for Suning.
And a lot of that for me was like, hey, look, let's try and utilize Angel. I thought we'd get into the headspace of, hey, let's roam Angel down to this bottom side if we see Leyan answering for the for the trade of the Rift Herald on top side, but we never got it. Now, though, is where you really need to say Angel open up, right? He's got the advantage when it comes towards mana because he's got this blue buff, the opportunity to start playing around with this Rift Herald towards these side lanes, start to take that bot lane turret as well. Feels like that's the game plan. You can see he comes up to facilitate Angel in that respect, help him push mid, and potentially work on this bottom lane turret as SofM is on this bot side.
Hung was right on the backside of that roam, but not going to get the same timer that On had. And honestly, On having a pretty good performance on the Braum this game. I think that's one of the lower points, at least, that we've seen in the past for Suning here in this split. But here in this game on the Braum, feeling confident with Huanfeng, and I feel like it's really working for them.
Angel now starting to teeter out of this mid lane. He's just shadowing this play. This was what we're saying. Look, you've already got 2 plates down the bottom side.
You got FoFo coming in behind, and another one coming in from Cube. They're full committing. This is the turnaround for RA, but FoFo's already out of the fight. It's completely split, and for nothing, Cube gets taken out.
And they still got that charge on the turret as well. So now Suning, they get the kill and they just get to finish off the turret as well. Angel even playing that fight incredibly smart as well. But overall, this was a weird play from RA. I felt like it was kind of a Hail Mary. Like,
I mean,
hoping
they
a
had
dream
the
that maybe they
bodies.
can make it. Yeah, but they were so spread out. Like,
Yeah.
we'll more than likely get a replay in just a second. But watch how spread out the fight is from RA. Like, it means that Suning basically end up in that, like, 4 versus 4 scenario for long enough where they can deal with the members that are underneath the turret of RA, and then they just fall back to Cube. Like, look how far away Cube TPs.
Yeah.
So you get Leona comes in here. So now Hung's out of the equation. So this is a 4v4 once more. But Angel comes in, and Cube, he's so far back. And look from Angel, love this, flashing into his face. It's just like, you hollow mist, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to CC you, and we are still going to get this kill. And it nets Suning so much. And unfortunately, RA, one of the big praises we had of them coming into today was their coordination.
Yeah.
That one was not on the same page.
And something else for me is, like, we see the target selection beautifully. I talked about it in the draft where, like, when you pick this Braum, if you can target select, you can target call and things go right, like, you can obliterate people quickly, one at a time as you go through the ranks. And we saw that in that fight, and maybe it was because of RA's attempt at a kind of a split fight in there, but every time On was able to target somebody, everybody pounced, immediately got the 4 stacks of the passive, and it's just all said and done.
Now Suning trying to set themselves up on this top side. They know Rift Herald is going to be spawning in just under a minute and a half, so they're going to start getting this deep vision, making sure they control this area, and again, always playing with the strongest member in the map. Huanfeng now up here, he's getting the iBoy treatment.
Ooh, FoFo found Angel. Perfect execution available here, but not going to follow it up for the fear of the rest of the team. Suning, now Leyan needs to get away from their perfect execution. The secondary piece used to get away from FoFo. But the original setup was Suning looking for a dive top. They won't find it, but they'll find a tower.
Well, SofM is now invading into the jungle, so they may look for a little bit more of a scrap as he starts to back away. We can just see it on the mini-map. And now, again, we said Rift Tower going to be spawning fairly soon, so they're going to be looking to just follow this up now with that objective when it spawns.
Still do have 3 members of RA up here, maybe looking to punish Huanfeng and On, but won't do it, won't find it. We do have a dragon spawning across the way in 40 seconds, but as you said, you know, we still have a Rift Herald to think about, and big focus from RA towards this top side, but they're trying to keep this trio together of iBoy, Hung, and Leyan. Now, On and Huanfeng have stayed. You have a flank coming through from SofM as well. Could this be a big moment for Suning? They're going to commit the TP as well from Ben across the map. The kick comes through, the Glacial Fissure, the Chains of Corruption is the only one that misses, but you've still got the damage on the right members here. Do they know? SofM is down, but now the reset's coming in from Ben, and you can't start the heartbreak as Suning will find even more in this second game.
And Ben manages to hop out from under the turret before FoFo shows up. The TP plays from Suning are too hot to handle. Angel moving back towards mid lane. You've got the push going in top side, and Suning would just walk away with even more gold. And something we didn't even touch on, as you can see, Ben, he's managed to pick up 5 turret plates for himself as well. So now he's sitting 1,500 gold up over his lane opponent as well. But this was gorgeous. Like, watch this. Boom, flash away from SofM. Boop. The kick from Hung doesn't quite connect onto Leyan, but it doesn't matter. They get everything from this play anyway, because Ben, he's a big old boy, and he's got these heartbreakers popping all over the place.
He does. It's so crazy to me that we get this all night long, Dagda, just switching positions seemingly between the games for these teams. It's just like being replaced almost, as every single time you see a huge advantage in one game, it's the carbon copy, but on the other side in the next.
Yeah, and again, we were saying, hey, look, Rift Herald up and available. Cool. You've now got this crazy strong map for Suning. You can still look to try and play towards this. They've plonked Huanfeng in the mid lane, and honestly, he can just look to push this down if they wanted to, but they are going to move over towards the Rift Herald, knowing, look, we've got Chains of Corruption coming up soon. All of our Glacial Fissures are coming up. Like, let's just use the fact we have a 5-1 Varus who's a half an item ahead of his opponent, and he should be able to just take this free.
Just gonna go over to Suning. We'll see what they want to use this second Rift Herald, surely, as the name is, but we'll see what they can utilize that with. More than likely going to the mid lane. Cube, Leyan, and company with Hung are looking for Ben, though. Heartbreaker out, and he's on the other side of the pillar. He gets out scot-free.
The traffic cone only helped him. He booped further forward, and then it stops RA from being able to chase up, and now Suning instantly collapse on towards this mid lane. They know they have the numbers advantage, and they still have this Rift Herald if they want to use it. That's all outer turrets down, and RA got nothing for it.
And that's not even the Rift Herald used from SofM. They still have so much agency on the map here in the second game. And they're also at that like 8,000 gold difference, sub 20 minutes. Those stats are going to be real nice for Suning.
Now, there is one small glimmer of hope for RA here. Angel actually went for a Luden's Tempest. He is going for a more damage-orientated build rather than the Everfrost. And the Everfrost, for me, was actually pretty crucial as a peel tool for Huanfeng. Although, may need to hold on as SofM. No, he's going to be fine. But when you don't have the CC tools to deal with FoFo, the follow-up on the gold card needs to be almost instant from someone like On to make sure you can keep Huanfeng safe. Now not because you don't have that Everfrost. So certainly FoFo having a little bit more flexibility here when it comes towards these team fights. The only issue is Huanfeng is instantly gone towards this Wit's End second, which means he's got a good amount of magic resist and that shield from the Immortal Shield Bow to make it a bit more difficult for FoFo to just burst him out.
That you have to find the burst. You literally have to. There is no way that you can get away in a team fight with Huanfeng free hitting or even SofM at this point, right? And with the movements at least that we're seeing right now, it just seems like RA are waiting for the attack from Suning, and that's not necessarily where I want to see them, right? Like maybe you can find those picks if Suning overextend or anything along those lines, but RA right now with those two dragons can continue to stack if they are able to, but the commit from Suning and the pressure from Suning is non-stop. The Rift Herald's used on the second tier tower and the bot, that's going to be taken down. The TP was committed by Angel down there just to make sure that they could get it, and it's more gold just being sunk into the Lions' pockets, if you will.
And this is what we said, like Suning were one of the best teams to be having the league at utilizing these sorts of compositions when they get a lead. You can see here again, Angel is going to start splitting off the side lane, but he's been shadowing Bin in a lot of these situations, as we saw the TP bot to make sure there's no plays happening. They are really good at just understanding, hey, where should we be on the map? So even if a play happens, we're always trading up. And the best example of that was what just happened to Bin in that bottom lane.
Nothing you can really do about it, honestly. Is there's just a lot to deal with right now, especially when you're looking at the difference in the damage profile for Suning. Is that they have a decent amount of poke, but as you were saying earlier, it's the on-hit Varus. You get in the nitty-gritty of this thing, it's going to be rough, and you need to get in the nitty-gritty of it when you're iBoy on this Kalista, when you're FoFo, when you're a lot of melee-focused champions for RA.
And they're starting to get the vision down as well now to make sure that they're not only being able to like get a little bit of poke, but the pick potential is sky high. Like you have that Twist of Fate come in, Chains of Corruption, Braum CC layered on top of it. You are not getting away if you end up in that CC chain. So certainly for Rare Adam, they have to be so careful about how they're moving from lane to lane. And if the case is that you have to take the long way around as RA, you're going to be late to the party by default, and Suning can get more of these towers, chip away at the structures, and make sure you're falling further behind.
And I love this move from Suning, right? We've seen them keep the pressure on this entire time. Well, now they're going to keep the pressure on in objective. We've had two dragons taken by RA so far, but Suning are moving down that way. They want to make sure the dragon stacking does not continue. As iBoy caught here, flashes over. Red card does a quarter of his health, though. He gets a little bit slowed by that one. Has team members right behind him, so Suning not going to fully commit to this one just yet. Maybe they're still looking for it. All right, iBoy gets out this time around unscathed, but his flash burnt.
But if RA exits stage left, well, Suning just barreled down the mid lane. They got that priority there with the push. They take that. They can now fall back towards that dragon that you were highlighting, Mazel. Like, Suning are just playing this map better than RA right now. And it was iBoy nearly got caught and nearly cost a lot more for RA there.
9,000 gold lead now, 21 minutes in. This will be Suning's first dragon of the game, but they've already gotten 2 Rift Heralds. I'd say their neutral objectives are looking pretty snazzy. It's also 5-0 in turret score, but On and Ben might be caught out here. Fate's Call comes out. They have found Ben. The CC comes down, and iBoy looking for a kill himself. It's going to be given over to Leyan. That's huge for RA as they do finally find the pick out.
They're not comfortable, though, to try and go towards these objectives. Cube still on the bottom side. They don't try and risk the Baron play, and unfortunately for them, the pick is nice, but it's not going to net them a huge amount. Just a bit of time to push out these waves. They're going to be instantly shoved back in as Ben and Angel get back towards the side lanes.
Side lanes are key in this one, I feel like. And yes, we may see the tussles over objectives, but it's still, you know, not as much blood as we've seen in other series, especially other series tonight, right? We're like 14 or 12 kills in, 22 minutes in, nothing too crazy. But this gold lead is what is crazy. It's the difference that is being made here, and it's off the back of just general macro performances from Suning being beautiful, but as well as the laning advantages that were had during the laning phase have now transitioned into full-on advantages across the board.
And I mean, look, there's not a huge amount of places left for RA to hide either. turrets are dropping like flies. You've already got this 1-3-1 that we're talking about. The opportunity for Angel to continuously put pressure on towards the mid as well with his position on top side. And you don't ever have to start up this Baron as Suning. All you have to do is create enough pressure around the map that you end up with a numbers advantage where you can pick someone off and then fall back towards that Baron.
The hope here is Suning are in mid lane looking for priority over that one. The amount of damage they can do to a Baron though scares me because they can quickly turn on it, and they realize by moving up their vision here it does give them the possibility of that, and it can also force RA into a predicament they don't want to be in.
And now you got to face check this Angel waiting off in the wings.
They are just getting completely surrounded right now. Angel's on the other side, but the Destiny Gate is available. He's coming into the fight now. iBoy and FoFo are positioned nicely from this one though, but Hung and Leyan are kind of split at this moment. They want to fully go in here. You do have a lane pushing bot lane. Cube has to respond to that one as Ben's able to get back to his team in mid lane.
But it's just Suning like working them around the map, right?
Yep.
They end up getting all the vision that they wanted in this top side. It's buying space for Angel to actually put pressure onto the top lane turret. And if you try to commit multiple members as RA top side or you get pushed out top side, you just lose an inhibitor tower mid. Like, it's so obnoxious to try and play against us. FoFo now forced to try and ensure it can flip away because Suning are en masse getting to this top side.
There's no real response that come out. Like every time they do it, it has to be a catch out pretty much, because if they're all together, the gold differentials are just too much. You can't do anything in those moments, and they are constantly pressuring this top tower. They really want this tier 2, and it looks like it's going to go down very quickly to the damage of Angel and Huanfeng. But they do have a response here. Do they want to pull the trigger on it? SofM is on the side. Cube is coming up as well. This is an unmanned fight for Suning, but the beautiful Glacial Fissure splits them, and now iBoy has the passive stacks on him. He gets stunned up, and he just gets taken down. Suning are being able to pick them apart here, as that's 3 members of RA that get burned down.
And that spells Baron. We just said, look, Suning just needs to play this slow, look for the picks, find their opportunity to strike, and that was given to them in that moment. Suning now turn towards this Baron, and with that, it feels like they'll be able to close this one out. A 1-3-1 with this Baron buffed up minions is going to be impossible for Rare Adam's composition to deal with. Like, who clears these waves?
It's almost impossible at this point. You're also at 12,000 gold deficit. Like, it's been slowly building as we go through, and this is not a moment you want it to continue to still build, but we'll see a replay.
Yeah, you can. FoFo goes in, tries to burst at Angel, has that stopwatch though, so he's completely fine. And Glacial Fissure here, it ruins iBoy's day. I actually think iBoy pulled Leona out of the block on that Winter's Fight as well, which is a little bit unfortunate, but look, either way, this was doomed from the beginning. And unfortunately for Rare Adam, it's now going to be a case of, right, we're taking this to a game 3, and how do we try and fight back against this Twisted Fate? Like, this is why we saw it banned.
All I'm saying, my last cast of the regular split, and I get my dream. I get the dream. I get all 6 games. Couldn't be happier right here alongside you, Dagda. Although we still got to watch them finish it out. We still got to see Suning cross their T's, dot their I's, but it's looking purple all over here, and it's not RA's colors. It's the Baron buff.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't even get a defense here from RA. Mid lane, inhibitor, gone. TF pushing bot lane, making sure that he's got the lane set up here, as so Suning can just move across. And RA, what do you do?
Yeah, they've still got FoFo in the side lane, has TP, but they're about to lose their second inhib tower, and that's just entirely backbreaking for RA. They also have minion waves, and FoFo is just now backing. Do they want to kind of press this up? Maybe this is where RA can find an in, at least for the moment, at least to stave off the darkness, but it looks like Suning are moving forward. They want to take these towers down. The first Nexus tower falls, the solar flare goes just a little bit wide, and Suning's pieces are starting to fall together, where RA just are desperately trying to find something to grasp onto. The last Nexus tower falls. Suning are looking to take us all the way. Maybe they'll take one more fight before, so the Nexus not the target, but it's the kills that are the target. The Destiny Gate comes in, and RA are routed. Suning will bring us to the brink here, and they want those extra seedings. They want those extra wins, and Suning take game number 2.
And again, it's all stemming from this bot lane. The advantages that we see coming through from these squads has been garnered bit by bit from the AD carries. iBoy in game number 1, Huanfeng with some exceptional plays in game number 2 brings this massive advantage that Suning can rally around. They get bot lane turret, they get top lane turret with Huanfeng, and from that point forward it becomes very easy to open up and play this 1-3-1 style, facilitating the roams from the Twisted Fate and making sure that they can close this game out.
Man, oh my God. All right. It started early and it did not stop. There were a couple little pieces here or there where you got to see some of the momentum that RA was trying to garner, as you were saying, but it does not work out, and ending up with a 15,000 gold lead. They got one tower for RA, but it is a night and day difference from game number 1.
Huanfeng nearly did more damage than the entirety of RA. Like, that is insane. Huanfeng was so big this game. And look, we talked about it from the get-go, right? Not only going for this lethal tempo on hit Varus, he's going to do a little bit more consistent damage, but he was just getting to free hit in so many of these fights. FoFo wasn't able to get into the mix. iBoy as well was just fell off a cliff. Like, the Kalista was just never relevant after the early game that the early laning phase going the direction that it did. Yeah,
after that early tussle down there and just kind of blew everything open, especially in favor of Huanfeng. Like, you just can't give over those early bloods. It's kind of exactly what we saw for iBoy in game number 1. You give Aphelios gold early on, you're gonna be hurting later on as well. And I think that this third game is going to be a beautiful culmination of what we've seen so far. Honestly, I have no idea what we're in store for, because I think the chaos to this point has just brought the craziness out, and I love it. But this is exactly what we want from these two top of the table teams, at least in the playoffs, right? We need to see these kinds of performances. We need to see clean performances, but as well as trying to secure those spots, still trying to push forward in this last week, because it all comes down to these games. It all comes down to your seedings for playoffs. But we got to take a break. We got to get ready, because game number 3, the 6th game of the evening, the start of week number 9, will be right here after the